Hello and welcome. Today we try and find out a little more about the business process outsourcing industry, and we're talking to the second largest company in that space, that's WNS. Also to understand what are the new themes that's driving outsourcing and what are the trends that one can expect in the year ahead, not just in terms of growth but also profitability and maybe the very future of this industry. And joining me to do that is Murugesh of WNS. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, Govind.
So how's it looking? The only thing I hear about, it's not the only thing, let me be fair. A lot of people say, the BPO industry over which India had a stranglehold has escaped to the Philippines, right? So why did that happen in a nutshell, and how are things looking today?
Okay, so I think, probably from a, specifically an India point of view, I'm not the right guy to talk about it because I run a global company that includes the Philippines as well.
Yeah.
We deliver from 31 centers and 10 countries, frankly. And I think ultimately, work goes to locations where, people, provide the best quality of service.
Right. Yeah, so when I said escape, I should have said people like you made it escape. Yeah.
So from our point of view, I would say that clients really, the whole BPO business has changed completely in the last 5 or 6 years. So a few years ago, the focus was on, playing the wage arbitrage game. Western clients came to India and said, what, I have these tasks, I want you to do them, they're repeatable. I'll focus you on SLAs, but I really don't want you to give me any ideas because I know my business better than you.
Right.
That has changed. Right. So Govind, if you look at what companies like WNS has now done, is we've dramatically changed the model. Today we no more just employ low-end kind of unqualified people, but the focus has moved. We've moved the business away from the old call center voice businesses to much more data-oriented businesses where we're bringing in accountants, doctors, statisticians, PhDs, engineers, as a result of which the model has shifted. So today...
can you give me an example of a client, you may choose to name or not name, and the kind of work that you're doing that you say or would say differentiates it from the past?
Okay. So I think the first thing is, we're the first company in the space to have created an end-to-end vertical structure, right? Whether it is leadership, sales support, operations support, all the way to the domain-based universities that we have created inside. It's all inside the vertical.
Right.
So today clients say that, look, you guys look at our business the same way that we look at it, right? So very different, that's one. Second thing is we've infused a lot of technology and transformation kind of services, therefore driving non-linear models of growth. Again, very strategic. Clients today want to pay for outcomes, not headcount and inputs. And when they see what we have done in terms of our investments, again, they love it. And the third thing, in order to drive the first two differentiators that we have done, is to really create a very client-centric, client-partner model where we actually have people walking with the client's badges in their offices, participating in their strategic.
So is there an example
thinking
that you could use?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you look at for one of the large airline clients, for example, the old model would have been that give me a problem and which can employ 500 of my people, and I'll give you some kind of a solution. Right? Today the model is different because of the platforms we have built. For example, we will take a platform into an airline and tell the airline that, look, you have no way of knowing whether you have been able to recover all your fares because the airline agent may have sold a fare on a particular basis, paid you on a lower basis, and by the time you reconcile all of this, it's going to take years. Right? We take our platform, which is called Verifair, we take a data dump, so no skin off their nose, and we feed the data dump through our platform, right? This platform, based on an algorithm, based kind of a solution
that you have built,
that we have built, and where the IP is owned by us, actually creates a set of exceptions. We then use that set and hand it over to our domain-aligned IATA kind of fare specialists, who give back to the airline a list of debit notes that they should now issue to their agents. So now, where there was revenue that was being lost, there's a new revenue stream being created. And from our perspective, as opposed to charging for the number of people we put, we charge based on the revenue we generate, right? So if nothing else, that's high value.
So how much of your revenues today represent this kind of business or trending towards this kind of business?
Excellent question, actually. 38% of our revenue now comes from non-linear models, right? Driven by these kind of models. And of that, of the total, 20% now comes from technology enablement, of which, and 15% of that is owned by WNS IP.
Okay, and where do you see this going? I mean, this 38%. I mean, what could it become in, let's say, by 2015 or 16?
Well, obviously, from my point of view, I would love it, to keep growing higher. But the reality is, you have to understand that the client on the other end also has to be mature enough to accept this model. So, and particularly with the more mature clients, they get it, they understand it. Our ability to transform them and move them to that model is high. But with the less mature first-time adopters, they themselves don't know their cost. Right? They want to first, taste the benefit of all of it. And from our perspective, we also don't want to take on a huge risk, right? Until we, understand their model. So we will probably start them on an FTE-based model. Both of us get comfortable, understand the process, scope it out well, and over a period of time transform it to the other model. So it's a journey.
Right.
So if you ask me what are the targets I'm setting for myself, frankly none. The focus is really get more and more sticky revenue streams, because the best thing about this is it's a sticky revenue stream, right? So whereas you're making it very simple and very transparent and very fair to your client, the reality is what we are doing is making our clients focus on outcomes. Business outcomes, and not on how we do our business.
Yeah. So are you also saying, and if I've gathered right, that traditional BPO as an opportunity to get into or to grow is dead?
My view is, if you are still looking, if you're still focused on the low-end call center kind of work, you're a dinosaur, because that business has gone away long ago. One. Second thing is, if you are focused on only selling processes and not looking at the client's business environment the way they look at it, whereas there's opportunity today because the market is so broad, longer term you will become irrelevant. Because let's look at the this example again. We sold in this model as well. So if you are just going in and selling F&A, finance and accounting, it's a higher level kind of service. But the reality is, inside a client's environment, you get stuck in the CFO's office. Beyond a certain stage, they see you as an F&A player and never an insurance or a healthcare player. But with our model now, with the end-to-end vertical model, every client now fits into a vertical. And even if we start with F&A, our ability to penetrate, radiate, upsell, cross-sell, very high. And the client understands us as an insurance player that is providing F&A first, but opens up the rest of the domain as well.
Right.
So I hope you see the difference.
Yeah. So last question. So who does WNS belong to today? As in, who are you owned by? And you've had a lot of shifts back and forth on that. And how are you seeing this year on financially and in terms of growth?
So WNS actually is a very widely held company as of today. As of 2 days ago, we just completed a very successful secondary where we helped Warburg Pincus, the large equity holders, sell its entire balance 29% stake. We ran a really good book back in the US. And at this point in time, I don't think there's any institutional investors that has more than 10 or 11% of the company. One. From a WNS overall point of view, I think growth is back, 7 quarters of good growth. Q3, we grew almost 16% year on year and 13% organically. And from our perspective, the focus is to continue to drive those 3 differentiators, be seen as a true global partner and not a vendor, and drive growth rates that are at industry levels immediately and beyond industry levels in the next 2 or 3 years, based on a very differentiated strategy.
So things are looking good.
Things are looking great.
Right. I think that's something that a lot of people would want to hear. On that note, thank you so much.